One Piece chapter 1062, Adventure in the Land of Science. No more wasting time, let's get to it. We're gonna start with the cover story. Not much to look at here, it's just a whole freaking town, Chocolate Town, and just covered in ice. This not, hold on! Chocolate Town, covered in ice? Are you guys thinking what I'm thinking? Monet Revival Arc, or something that makes some more sense is Aokiji is actually here. Now for my good people, some of you may remember that at the beginning of this cover story, we saw two people approaching Hokage Island. I know the popular answer was Johnny and Yasaku. For me, I thought it was Dory and Brogy. So I'm willing to take the L here. Seriously though, the best guess people gave was, of course, it's Germa, it's Ichiji and Reiju. Well, I think that was a bit of misdirection, and I said it back then. And I'm way too tired right now to go back and pull that footage, so just gotta take my word for it, okay? I think that was misdirection by Oda. And the people that were there were actually Aokiji and Shiryu. Yes, he's an invisible man. That's a perfect way. And again, I've said this before. If you guys haven't seen my Blackbeard video, I'll list it here. I'm kidding. I've never made a Blackbeard video talking about this. I've mentioned it here and there, but I think the Blackbeard crew, Blackbeard was acquiring all these people that have these, let's say, infiltrating devil fruits. Shiryu, Katarina Devon, you have a ship in Sanwan Wolf. Infiltration should be the specialty of the Blackbeard pirates. So in this case, Aokiji and Shiryu are the two people I think are pulling up. Where does this lead? What do they want? Well, the most important things I think is what the Big Mom has in Chocolate Town is where Pudding resides. Well, poneglyphs. And well, Pudding, the character, not the food, the character. They're trying to get Pudding from Big Mom and the poneglyph. The poneglyph is obvious. He's trying to become the Pirate King, well, to gain power, we assume, and not to find the last One Piece, the bikini. For Pudding, he wants her power. Now, this is not all speculative. It's pulling from the manga, where Big Mom or Oda implied that Pudding could be one of the keys to unlocking the secret of the poneglyphs. That secret being, we don't know yet. We're assuming Void Century stuff and information we don't know. And we assume that Robin is the only person that can do this because she's an Oharan, and they were the people that can transcribe the language of the gods or the language of the people that came before them. Pudding's third eye could do the same thing. And listen, some of you guys probably have heard of the theory that Killer could have a third eye because we haven't seen his forehead yet. Maybe he's just really wrinkled and he has a big pimple there. I know sometimes we all go through that, right? The wrong times the pimple wants to show up. Like, I'm going for an interview for a job that I've always wanted, and then boom, there it goes. But then it's a conversation piece, and then I end up getting a job because of it. So now what we're here for, the main priority is the poneglyph. But Pudding could be important as well because it happens to be in Chocolate Town. However, the poneglyph is in the chateau. That's not true. The poneglyph was not in Chocolate Town. So why they're in Chocolate Town is befuddling, unless the Blackbeard pirates really like chocolate. I don't know, but that's what I can pull from this page, okay? If you can pull some more, let me know below. And also, if you can pull more, subscribe to the channel because I need your assistance, all right? I need your knowledge in the comment section, and drop a like as well if you enjoy what I'm saying. But yeah, let's get to the chapter now because, wow, what a fracas. I googled what a fracas is. Do you guys want to know what fracas is? Fracas means moonlight, moonstorm, moonshine. What does that mean? I'm lying. Fracas means a disturbance or quarrel. That's all it means. It's like old jargon. So last week, week before last, because we were on break last week, I know. Sad times, but Oda needs his rest. Week before last, we talked about Baltimore, not Baltimore, like DMV, Baltimore, Vegapunk's hometown, and I made a video about it talking about how Vegapunk, he did some great things over there where he was trying to save people creating the geothermal system, and he was upset and crying because he did not have the resources to help as many people as he could. He had a lot of blueprints in his head and he could not fulfill them, have them come to fruition because he did not have the pieces. Now, quickly, Karakuri, which is, again, the future land Baltimore, is the hometown of Tsukimi. Tsukimi is a very skilled scientist who created the automata, who does die when there was an explosion on the moon and he was eating a dumpling and he just choked. Stranger things have happened in One Piece. With Tsukimi, it could be telling us something about Vegapunk where I thought, and a lot of people thought Vegapunk could have some ties with the moon. I'm now starting to feel more of that just based off of this chapter and the 6 paths of Punk. Now we will know Punk. You're probably gonna hear that so many times. It'd be best if you heard it first from me. We don't celebrate W's over here, all right? Because they come abundantly. All right? We talked about 6 paths of Punk last chapter when we found out about Vegapunk 02. It could be the same thing. He could be like Zordon in like a tube. Don't know about that yet, but one thing is confirmed. there are 6 Vegapunk forms. And I have a great idea as to what these forms represent. Stick around. For now, let's talk about Punk 02 Lilith, which means evil. So the Straw Hats are celebrating. Frankie is singing his praises to Dr. Vegapunk. Robin's not buying it. I'm not buying it. My dog's not buying it, because we all know that Vegapunk, based on what was implied, is an old man. This is a young hottie. Doesn't make sense. Quick tidbit I wanted to put in here, and I'll mention it later, about Oda's plans after One Piece at one point, and it relates very well to Egghead. You kind of get to do the things you want to do here in Egghead that you would do in your next manga. But Lilith and what she's trying to do here. She's trying to acquire resources. First, we see some mechanized sea beasts, which looks like transformed sea kings, and Lilith is determined to capture the Straw Hats, or rather take their loot, because they want resources. Resources are drying up, and I think that tells us something else. And let me be clear here, okay? Vegapunk is shaping up to be on a different side than I expected. I expected neutrality. I expected someone that only cared about progressing and helping people if they could. It doesn't matter what side I'm on. If I have to provide weapons to get research or funds for research, so be it. I can help more people through my good deeds and through my technology. This was confirmed this chapter, that Vegapunk wants to help more people, but the resources are drying up. Vegapunk, the greatest, most important person in the world seemingly, has to scour for resources. He should have a blank Amex card, or a blank check rather, and an Amex card with an unlimited limit. The world government can print money if they want to. Economically, it does not matter, because they are the only country in power. One currency, no opposition. Why is Vegapunk looting for resources? Well, the answer is in the chapter as well. Now, before Lilith made a very, very terrible mistake, Logic, Shaka, had to remind her that, hey, I know what you're trying to do. This is a Yonko crew, the Straw Hat crew. They're very powerful. You're not paying attention to them. Pay attention to the swordsman, because he's fine. He's calm and he knows you're in his range. And for whatever reason, I believe Lilith has green hair. And for whatever reason, I can think of the last woman on an icy island that tried to do something against Zoro. It did not end well for her. So whatever Chaka told Lilith, I think it saved her. Zoro was not going to kill her, but have you ever met a beast that you were sure would not bite? Lilith, Zoro is that beast. This isn't necessarily about strength, right? This is more about personality. With Sanji and Frankie going to geek out. They love stuff like this. Zoro and Robin are more grounded. They're the more serious characters on the crew, so I love it here. Someone did make the connection that possibly Oda's telling us these two are going to be some of the faces of battle in this arc, just because we have some people on the way here that could be great matchups for them, I think. The major twist here in this chapter, what does Zoro want from Vegapunk? There's a video that I'm releasing about how Vegapunk can help all the Straw Hats, but Zoro's asking specifically, say, I need something from you. We have a slew of options. One, well, he wants a new eye, okay? Not the top option, just throwing that out there. Two, he wants a Queen of Seraphim. I'm not saying those are the best options, just saying those are some options out there. Right. 3, he's gonna ask about Smile and how Vegapunk can save some of the people in the Bisu town because he connected with them and Chopper couldn't do it. So I'm gonna ask you because you are the Devil Fruit King, you are the master inventor. There's another small option, but I'll save that for the video. However, that was surprising. Zoro, Vegapunk? I plan to reread Punk Hazard or just parts with Zoro just to see if there's something there that I'm missing to point out exactly what Zoro could want. I'd probably mention it in the breakdown after my read, okay? So if you don't want to miss that, you got to stick around because the breakdown isn't coming until Sunday. Drop a like, subscribe, all that, all right? We then shift gears and go to where Luffy, Jinbei, Bonnie, Chopper are. And because some people may not have realized that they separated. But the first time we got to Egghead, they separated. And here we are. Bonnie reveals to us that Kuma is in fact her dad. The video I released the other day, people saying it was stupid, this doesn't make sense, No, it's her dad. And Oda put it in the vivid card. Funny. Bonnie mentioned that she'd been to Egghead before. So the lab wasn't the same, but she'd been there, which implies to me that Kuma had a relationship at some point with Vegapunk before the fame, right? Knew him before he was famous, before he was the world renowned. Or, I mean, he was already in Egghead, so he was already probably working with the world government. Who knows? But Bonnie was there before. Very important information that is leading to a dead end because there's not much we can tie to it. This is messed up, but I like the reactions to Bonnie saying that Kuma, her dad, was turned into a cyborg. Because you have Luffy, or was it Chopper, one of them, saying that, hey man, that's awesome, right? Turn it into a cyborg. And then Jim is like, That's awful, right? It's like, yeah, it's unforgivable. So it was just how different people in the Straw Hats perceive things, and that continued throughout chapter. At the beginning, we saw that, how Sanji and Usopp and Frankie, and then you have Zoro and Robin. They have different reactions to different things. They prioritize different things. I love that. So in this in the reaction, a part of me was like, man, a cyborg is kind of cool. But then on the other hand, it's like, he's a weapon. He doesn't know who he is. It's like, it's unforgivable. It really is bad. Bonnie, I'm assuming, doesn't know the deep-rooted issues, a deep-rooted plan that Dragon apparently had with Kuma. Then we make it to a very interesting part of the chapter where we seem to be in a hologram area, which is telling me some things about the future arcs for sure. The most important thing, other than the holograms and it being an amazing progression for Vegapunk, because I think everything is being made for a reason, which will help them in the final war for sure. But in this area, other than Luffy about to go Gear 5, which some people did notice, we see another form of Vegapunk, or another path, and that's Wrath, Punk Atlas. She confirmed that they completed the island aircon, where they can regulate the temperature of an area right down to the soil. I would love that where I am right now, because it is freezing. They created that and they perfected it like we expected based on what was around the island and what was in the island. We figured that. Mentioned that last week as well. So if you hear last week, this is like, oh, Brago said that. Brago said it. But they had so many inventions and things that got my mind twirling. Even the food vending machine or the food maker. It's important. I think that could be really cool for a lot of people, and it automates things. It makes things easier. People can make more money. But I wonder how Sanji would feel about something like that. It's feeding people, but there's no heart in it, no soul, but it's doing what it needs to do. I would love to get Sanji's take on that. Something they said here, though, that a lack of competent engineers means that they can't mass produce it, and that it's following the blueprints that hard, which again, Vegapunk, from what we know, he had a bunch of blueprints in his head he can see come to fruition. I think the original Vegapunk no longer exists. This is basically a delineation of his different personalities based on him, and is placed into different bodies to continue his work, but they haven't been able to get funding to complete the work because Vegapunk has not necessarily been the best partner. Vegapunk has been doing stuff, all right? They mentioned Lucia, which we'll talk about at the end, but Vegapunk, do you guys remember? Kuma was programmed to protect the Straw Hat ship for 2 years. That's one thing. Secondly, the devil fruit that they said was not perfected. He said wasn't perfected. Just straight up lied about that, because I saw Pink Dragon in Wano. Okay, maybe it wasn't the same color as Kaido, but he could do every single thing Kaido could do. Pink Dragon. That wasn't perfected. Okay. If I'm Green Bull, I'm taking off. With my hall pass, I'm going back and I'm snitching, baby. Hey, they got a dragon. Okay? They got a dragon, and I'm not talking about Kaido. They got an actual dragon. So, okay, Vegapunk lied about that, What's going on with Vegapunk? I'm sure they're probably already sus. And maybe he self-reported with the Kuma thing and the Straw Hats, and even in that same arc, he had interference with Kizaru and Rayleigh and sending the Straw Hats away. Like, what are you doing, playboy? And remember, Kizaru's nephew is Vegapunk's bodyguard, which led to a lot of speculation that Kizaru could be Vegapunk. You know, it's not ruled out because Kizaru has no brain. It would make sense if all of his brain was being distributed to 6 different bodies, because that's the only reason why he's that slow. I expect to see Sentomaru at some point, for sure, because he is Vegapunk's bodyguard. One of the more interesting things here, speaking of Kizaru, is the photonic gloves. It makes it possible to interact with light. This could mean so much. One of the major theories is that these photonic gloves could somehow counter whatever it is that eradicated Lucia. And I think the hologram could as well create an amazing hologram in that place or somewhere else. What if that could deter or trick someone into thinking they actually destroyed something that they did not? Not saying that's what happened in Lucia, because one thing that was made clear here is that they can't mass produce these things because they don't have the resources. I could foresee something happening where the revolutionaries pooling all their resources together, allying with Vegapunk because they're about to be out, right? They don't got nowhere to be anymore. Mass producing these things at some point to help a lot more people, because a lot more people than One Piece world need help. We know that. This chapter again continues the theme of One Piece in general, making a decision, your decision. Luffy asked if the girl isn't real, and then Wrath says, debates on what's real or not are as old as time. It's something you got to decide for yourself, right? What's real? Now I'm thinking, okay, could Vegapunk be a creation? Because if Vegapunk going to be like Pinocchio, right, where I'm a real boy. Okay, I don't know. I don't know. But they're asking, what is Vegapunk? Like, what's going on? They have no idea what they're talking to. What's interesting is that I think Bonnie met at least one of the different Vegapunks, and not this one, because Bonnie's like, okay, That's a lie. You're not Vegapunk, which again, I'm assuming either Bonnie met Stella, the original body with Kuma, or Bonnie met another form. Could be Chaka, could be Lilith. We don't know. But Bonnie did not meet this version. And so this could be maybe a newer thing that Bonnie's not privy to because Bonnie again has been here before. Very intricate stuff that Oda's sliding in for us to kind of think about. In the midst of all this, we have some powerhouses on the way. Okay, maybe not powerhouses, some power tree houses. I don't know. Some very important people that we've had some interactions with. CP0, the CP0 that we know, Stussy, Kaku, Hattori. Oh, and Rob Lucci as well. They're on the way to Egghead. Not just to show up for no reason. They're delivering something. First, they explain what Vegapunk is. The basics. It's 6 paths of Vegapunk, or 6 satellites. Punk 1 to 6. You have Logic, Evil, Flare, Wisdom, Wrath, and Desire. Shaka, Lilith, Edison, Pythagoras, Atlas, and Yoke. The Pythagoras thing kind of gave me PTSD from math. All the math that I've taken in my life. Pythagorean is just not something I want to see in One Piece. I shudder. Either way, 6 paths to Vegapunk. Lucci's like, geniuses are a pain, and I feel the same way. Like, the reason that geniuses can be a pain is just like they make everything harder for everybody else. Because things are so easy for them, everything's harder for everybody else. Like, you know the genius that used to be in your class and like they finished like 30 minutes ahead of everybody else. And teacher's like, damn, did I make it too easy? No, you did not. It is fine. Not what you're here for. Their assignment is to return their problem child back to Egghead. So one of the theories that we had is that this Kuma is a fraud, right? That Vegapunk trolled the world government by delivering just PX-42, right? This is just Kuma with some wings clipped on, no special eyes, just a really dope hoodie, his Supreme hoodie, and that's what me and my friends decided on when we were talking about the chapter, that this is a fraud. That's why he's a problem child. Another serious thought is that maybe Kuma's actual conscience was transferred to this guy, and so they can't control him, so they're like, all right, we gotta go send back this problem child because he's not listening. And I mentioned just the Seraphims, how they could be problem children based on how Kobe had to someone yell at the other Seraphim to stop. Typically with robots, you say, yo, chill, they stop. Like, that doesn't work typically with anything, but that's what it should work. I mean, you've seen iRobot. Things get out of control, right? Especially when you add sentience or you attempt to. They're tasked with deleting every single Vegapunk, but not, or trying not to, do anything to the lab. So the world government, again, they are replacing the person, but they want to retain the inventions, which I'm like, Vegapunk are these inventions. Vegapunk is going to continuously live on because I think his consciousness, his stream of consciousness can be transferred. That's why it's transferred to 6 different people. Even if you get rid of these Vegapunks, they are somewhere out there on a hard drive, on a floppy disk. You guys remember floppy disk? They're somewhere out there that they can be transferred to something else. That's why I think Wrath mentioned, hey, whatever you deem is real, that's up to you. Do you think I'm a real person? Do you think so? Even though I'm a cyborg? That's up to you. And of course, Luffy's gonna cherish her as such. That's, me going to theory land. Something I want to mention as well, Rob Lucci seems a bit different. He questioned things somewhat before, but now he really is, which the other two are like, don't. Shh. Just sit there, look pretty, all right? Don't ask questions you don't want to answer to, playback, because you're asking questions to some shit that can get us in trouble. Something else that was mentioned is that every single name, right, from the different punks that were explained has some connection with outer space or the moon, or even the main true body, Stella, could be short for constellation, or celestial star in Latin. Pythagoras is a Greek mathematician and astronomer, or it can mean another crater on the moon. Edison, a great inventor, or a crater on the moon. Yoke could be a constellation. Atlas is a constellation. To clarify, constellation, a moon crater, and Saturn are all named after him, or rather a satellite of Saturn. And Lilith is a name that's a fictional dark moon of the earth. So all this information was on the TCB translations. If you want to link below, I'm gonna check that out. But this is basically breaking down that Vegapunk has a connection to the moon, which was obvious before, but it's even more clear now with everything with Karakuri, Tsukimi and his connection to the moon, and now Vegapunk. I think, would it be crazy to say Vegapunk's real body's on the moon and Straw Hats have to go there to actually find the secrets of devil fruits? I don't think so. Give me your thoughts. What do you think about all this? It's interesting. It's one of the more interesting chapters because we are dissecting and we're finding out amazing information that we did not know before. There's some more questions that need to be answered, but we'll talk about them throughout the week. But give me your thoughts, guys. How do you feel about all of it? Make sure you like the video if you did. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Follow me on Twitter at BragoD8. Follow me on Instagram at BragoD.Ace. Thank you to my patrons. I appreciate you guys all so much. Again, guys, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
okay. I start doubting me, I felt lost. I rewrite it.